you send some of that money back here, but it's like I have to pay rent, I have to pay gas, I have to pay utilities. By the time you've paid your own expenses to live, you don't have anything left to give.
Rehema, what about owning land in Kenya? Are you excited about owning land in Kenya? Everybody's buying land. Do you have a plotty somewhere? Or are you thinking of getting one when you start?
Maguta.
Eh?
The concept of owning land did not make any sense to me until like a year ago, because it was always just one of those things that like you would hear your family and like adults talk about it, so excited, so enthusiastic, and to me it was like, okay, you're owning land, like then what? Like, what is so important about
What's
it?
the end game?
What's the end game?
Yeah.
I think now that I'm an adult, I understand the appeal more, but at the time I didn't really get it. My entire life I didn't really get it, and I think it's also a big thing for immigrants that immigrate out of the U.S. I mean, out of Africa to come to the U.S. It's like a sense of like, I'm doing well. You know what I mean? Like, I'm doing well, so now I'm going to go back home and do even better. So I understand the appeal, and I can understand like the psychology behind it. Like, I want to own a piece of land that I could never have even dreamed of owning 20 years ago in the country that I left to get a better opportunity. But I think parents need to actually explain what it is to their children, because I never understood what that was.
Okay. You know, because I think, you know, that explanation part, I think is very important. And I also think parents, whenever they're making plans, especially on huge assets that they're purchasing, it's important to have your children in mind. You know, like, is this asset going to be of any benefit to my child? Like, is my child going to go back to my village to make use of this land that I'm purchasing? So I think, you know, those are very important things parents need to consider.
I think it also boils down to conversations that you have with your child or your children. And I'm not talking about having a conversation again at 15, 16, 17.
From very early on.
It's from very, very early on.
Yeah.
You know, and this lays the foundation for a lot of things. It lays a foundation for them opening up or talking to you, you know, like now we've been addressing, you know, like bullying.
Yeah.
We've been addressing, you know, like things that are going on or knowing about your child. You're not going to do that like when Jiko Joshua said we were doing doubles and whatever. There's that aspect of you can understand, because at that point in time, young parents, the community around you, you're not familiar about it. So you're looking for that circle that is around you, and you use that to grow. You know, so you have to go out to look for so that your kids are you know, so that you can feed your kids, you know, and provide shelter and everything. But right now, from the explanation of the Gen Zers, it's a delicate balance. A balance has to be there, because you don't want to lose your kid once they get into the teenage years, because you're thinking, now they're teenagers, they're whatever, now I can go and work and do more doubles and triples.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen.
Okay.
So I think these conversations need to happen from when 5, 6, and be intentional with those conversations, because like you're talking about land, have a structure, because chances are with them, with majority of their time being that they're interacting, their friends are here. You know, if they leave in the morning, they're coming in the evening at 3, you're coming at 9. Most of their friends are who they're hanging out with, playing around, you know, playing basketball, interacting, doing sleepovers or whatever. Yeah. Chances are they're not thinking about broti makuta.
Okay. Jide, what about, so there's that aspect of land. I don't know whether that's there in Nigeria too. So, did you have land in Nigeria? You plan to buy a piece of land?
We have like a running joke of like people sending money back home to build a home, and then they get back to Nigeria and the home's not built.
But we have that in Kenya too.
Yeah. So I understand sending money to have a home built, but to me it's like, if you build the home, who's gonna live in the house? Like, what is the purpose? I get buying the land and building the house. What's your purpose for building the house? Is it for image purposes? Are you planning to put maybe your own mother and father in this house, saying, "Oh, look at what I've done"? Or are you saying I'm gonna give this to my child? Because if you're gonna say I'm gonna give this to my child, they don't have any purpose for the land. They don't have any connection physically to where you came from. Like, yes, they're Nigerian or they're Kenyan or wherever you're from, but when, like, I hate to say, but if you were to die soon, what would they do with the land? They would probably end up selling it.
I am glad this is coming from the children, because this is I think this is something that I think a lot of parents need to understand. Yes, we know you love your village. We know, like a railway line might be built close by there soon, and the value will go up. But what use does what's the purpose of you either buying that land or building that house? That's something that you critically have to ask yourself. Do you want to retire and go back and live there, or do you want to commercialize it? You have to have. But this thing of let's just buy land and see what will happen, a railway line will pass by, I don't know about that. I mean, that's an issue we've agreed to disagree with a lot of people, but yeah, it is what it is.
If it's for you, it is yours.
It is yours.
That's it. If it's for your child,
yeah.
Have you had that conversation with that child?
Exactly.
Have you instilled again educating them is one thing. Then they can make the choices.
Yes. Rehema.
Yes.
Sending money back home. Sendwave. Have you started doing it? You know,
Do you know who Sendwave is?
You have family back home that needs the monies that you. I know you guys have not started working, but what's your relationship to this issue of sending money back home, diaspora remittances? Let's do double shifts so we can send money back home and get kids educated. Pay hospital bills, pay this and pay that.
So, this is something that I have actually had many conversations about, and I think I'll speak for Kenyans. I think Kenyans have a generosity issue. I have observed
generosity issue, meaning generosity is an issue. Can become an issue.
It can be an issue.
Okay.
And I've observed this in like a lot of different communities growing up. It's a factor of like, we need to help, we need to give back, which yes, you should help if you have the means to. You should not help if you have to. You should not help if you yourself cannot are struggling.
Yeah.
Simple. Or you should not help if you need to put yourself and your direct family first. I think a lot of Kenyan families in the Baltimore diaspora have this mentality where we need to give back and we need to just send all our money and we need to just, they got us here, so we need to support them. But if you're also struggling, you should not need to do that. And me personally, like you said, I have not started working yet. Like, I don't have a career, but like, as I've gotten a little bit older, I've already been like, peeping a couple things here and there in the WhatsApp group chats. And it's like, okay, like
family WhatsApp groups.
Well, not like the family group chats, but like people, are messaging about money, and it's like, okay, like I don't have any.
Wow. You mean
so people already
they've been hitting her up?
So people already asking.
She lives in America. They've been hitting her up.
Like I've been asked before, right?
Oh wow.
And it's like I don't have any to give. I'm a college student.
You
and
live
I'm
in
broke.
America.
And that's the mentality. Like, oh, you live here, you're rich though. Well, that's not really how.
Now,
it
is
works.
this like family members or just people that you know from Kenya? Is it
It's
both?
Well, okay, this has only happened to me once, and it was from somebody that I know in Kenya.
Okay.
And not like family, but like it was still just very disarming because I was like, I wish I could help you, but I cannot.
Because
like,
I'm not working.
Because I can't help myself.
I can't help myself. I'm eating ramen noodles at my college campus. Like,
I see a phone call coming after this show.
and
Who
the
was
thing
that?
is, my parents, I've come to my parents about this, and I've talked to them about this, and they're like, yeah, like, Rahma, you are not in a place where you can be giving money. And they're right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the same thing. But I feel like it's very easy for family back home in Kenya to guilt trip family here and also like manipulate them to, why aren't you helping me? You're so much better off. The help can only go so far if you are also not initiating yourself to get out of your situation.
Wow.
Obviously, living in Kenya, there's many different boulders and obstacles that they go through over there, and I'm very aware of that. But there is a line that there needs to be a line that needs to be drawn eventually.
Is this an issue also in Nigeria?
Oh God, it's bad. But what I'll say is, I think with the one issue I will say that a lot of, I don't know if it happens in Kenya too, but people will like say, let's say you have $2,000 now, they'll instantly convert the money into the currency that is currently going on, and they'll be like, but you have this much money, why can't you send some of that money back here? But it's like, I have to pay rent, I have to pay gas, I have to pay utilities. By the time you've paid your own expenses to live, you don't have anything left to give. But they still expect you to give. And when you do, they start to like depend on you and sometimes even take advantage of your generosity. Like it's almost like a recurring thing that's supposed to happen. And if it doesn't happen, it's like, why aren't you're in America now, you're doing it big, like you should be helping us back here at home. But I know, and a lot of people will feel like it's a sense of obligation to help those who help them along the way. But if you and your immediate ones aren't taken care of, you're not in a position to help those who also need help.
And as Tamulusa here says, it's because we don't have a welfare system or soup kitchens in Africa. We must help our folks back home. And then let me see. Jerry Wanyeri says, as Tamulusa 100%, and they sold their land and cattle to get us here, but we have to learn to say no at some point, and boundaries, and folks feeling entitled and being in your pocket. Yeah.